As many college students do, I partly live off fast food and pizzeria through my years as a undergraduate. I went to a school in my hometown, so luckily enough for me, I didn't have to live on campus suffering through the cafeteria on a daily basis. But nonetheless, my eating habits usually involve a lot of things filled in grease and covered in cheese. Although back in my early 20s, I had the metabolism to handle it. Now I'm in my late 30s, and I've sworn of fast food forever. Yet before you praise me for a healthy lifestyle, please understand, I didn't do it for my health. I live in a small apartment back in those days. A typical student swelling adored with garage sale furniture and movie posters. It was a humble place, but it was inexpensive, so I didn't get a roommate. In a great part of town surrounded by shops and restaurants. So my apartment was at the bottom floor. It wasn't uncommon to me to come home from the time with the advertisements taped to my door and hung on by doorknob from local businesses. I would often find coupons and take out menus and miss quite the collection. I was familiar just about every restaurant in my neighborhood. I knew which ones delivered and which ones didn't. I I knew which I knew which one would stay open and which one were fast and slow and overpriced. I guess you could say I ordered out far from them too often. One night, as I was studying for an exam in the late hours of the night, my stomach began that all too familiar rumbling that I had so many times before disrupting my ability to concentrate. As usual, I had been too wrapped up to prepare for the finals. I had forgotten to eat dinner, and as usual, I resorted some late night delivery. I was approaching midnight, so I knew a lot of my regular places. It would be close by now, especially belong to a weeknight. I stuffed through the collection takeout values for the kitchen drawer, trying to decide who to call. The only places who delivered late were pizza joints, and I was just not in the mood for pizza. Not again. I I was about to give up just to dial the pizza place when I could come an advertisement I'd never seen before, or at least I did remember having seen it before. It was just a square piece of glossy paper that looked as if it was torn from a magazine, and one of those inserts they put in the newspaper. Strangely, I remember how tired of having torn this out, but then again, I have focused studying for now new 2 weeks, so perhaps I saved this and had just forgotten about it. The ad features a cartoonish clown, a mascot holding balloons. Besides him were a comic striped speech bubbling in the words Carnival Burgers, now open until 3:30 a.m. We deliver. Beneath the speech bubble were a telephone number. I never heard of Carnival Burgers before. Was it a new place? I have reservations of ordering a burger by delivery, but I thought why not? I mean, how bad do you have to mess up a burger? I dialed the number, and the one voice picked up on the other end. Thank you for calling Carnival Burgers. Would you like to try a special house burger? The voice sounded almost electronic, like it was pre-recorded. No thanks, I said. I'd like to place an order for delivery. Excellent. I will be happy to take your order, sir. The electronic voice replied in a far upbeat manner. What would you like? I'll take a hamburger with cheese, pickles, lettuce, and onions and tomatoes, and a side of fries. Would you like mustard, mayonnaise, or a special house sauce? Mustard, please.
Excellent. Your order should arrive shortly. Thanks for calling Carnival Burgers.
The line then disconnected. I figured the person was at the other end must accidentally hang up. I haven't given my address or my payment information. At the voice we have given my total. I dialed the number again to complete the order. This time it just kept ringing. I let it ring for a solid 5 minutes. When no one answered, I hung up and dialed again. The same thing happened. The phone just kept ringing. I thought I thought they were my busy, which would have been odd for the middle of the week. But maybe their burgers were just that good and I got lucky getting through the first time. Doubtful. Finally, about the third ring, it pinged out. The same electronic voice spoke, but this time it sounds slower and steeper, like the recording hasn't slowed down.
Thank you for calling Carnival Burgers. Would you like to try our special house burger?
No thanks. I actually called a little while ago. I think the line was disconnected. I never gave you my address.
No worries, Jake. Your order is on its way. Click.
I never give them my name. I was suddenly hit with a wave of confusion mixed with uneasiness. My logical brain began to weave a scenario in which they know my name without having given it to me. They haven't given it to them. Maybe I have ordered from this place before and I just didn't remember. Maybe they have some sort of number regularization software on their phone system that repeats customers what they display on their database, or a cell caller ID of some sort. Maybe that's also why they didn't ask for my address. Perhaps it's already on file from a previous order. Or maybe I did give them my name, it just I mistaken didn't. As much as I wanted to explanation to make sense, I knew I never ordered from them before. I can be absent-minded at times and forgetful, but not that forgetful. I hadn't heard of the restaurant before, but I had that ad in my drawer. I decided the most logical answer was the best one. After that, I surely must have ordered from them before, despite having myself to this conclusion. I still felt uneasy as I waited for the knock on my door. I couldn't focus on my studying. I turned on the television to break suddenly overwhelmed silence by my apartment. I flipped through the channels. Being a broke college student, I couldn't afford cable, so my late night TV choices were consist of infomercials, red-legged programmings, and talk show reruns. I settled on such trashy talk shows where the host is telling people who was and who wasn't the father. When the TV show cut into static, a commercial popped out of the screen. It was snowy and the sound quality was poor. A clown, just like the one in the printing ad, dancing in the front of a small building with a sign on it reading Carnival Burgers. The same electronic, peppy voice spoke. Come to Carnival Burgers when the fun never stops. Now order delivery. A phone number flashed at the bottom of the screen. The static displayed on the screen to normal. I turned off the TV. Just as the TV ticked out, there's a knock on my door. Instantly approaching, I peeked through the peephole to see a clown, balloons in one hand, and a paper bag with Carnival Burgers painted on it. I gulped, took a deep breath, and opened the door. The clown smiled and said,
That will be 866, please.
It was the same electronic voice from the phone. I pulled out a $10 bill out of my back pocket and handed it to him. Keep the change, I said, trying to unmask all my nervousness. Thank you. Enjoy your order. Please call again. Next time, try our special house burger. The clown handed me the paper bag. I took the I took the bag and thanked him. He stood there uncomfortably for a long time, and there was an awkward period of silence. He just stared at me. Before I slowly closed the door, I thought that maybe I should have asked him how he knew my name and address, but I let it go. I waited for a moment, and then I looked out at the peephole. He was gone. I had been so hungry earlier. Now I hardly wanted to eat. I opened the bag and found nothing usual inside. It was my order. Just a hamburger with cheese, pickles, lettuce, onions, tomato, and mustard with a side of fries. It was warm and smelled good. I felt uneasy and diminished and my hunger returned. I ate the burger and fries, and it was actually quite decent. It wasn't the best burger I ever had, but certainly not terrible. After eating, I studied a while longer before crashing about 2 a.m. A few days later, it was the weekend, and I drive home to my parents' house to spend the weekend with them. A couple of days of my mom's house, home cooking meals, and my old comfy bed was just the thing I needed before the finals week. Just stay in the town, so it wasn't a long drive. I liked to visit when I could. As I was driving, I came across some road construction. I followed the detour signs and to an off-road I wasn't familiar with. It was aggravating, but as I said, it was really short drive detour that wouldn't make much of a difference. The detour guided me into an old recreational neighborhood. There weren't many businesses, just all houses, a small park, and then there it was, at the corner of the explanation. It was the building that I had seen on the television ad, Carnival Burgers. I pulled to the parking lot and stopped. It was clearly the same building, but unlike the one in the ad, it was old and run down. The painted sign was faded and covered in dirt. Some windows had been broken out and replaced with boards. It looked like it had been abandoned for years. I just got out of my car and peered through one of the windows. Inside were booths and tables, blanketed with dust. There are cracks in the walls and cobwebs that are dripping thrown out of furniture still left inside. At the corner was a plastic statue of a smiling clown holding a chalkboard menu with the now barely legible words, "Ask about the special house burger." I felt weak in the knees and painted my chance. This couldn't be the place. Once my logical mind began to realize the situation, this is obviously an old abandoned location. The restaurant moved and reopened somewhere else. There was no now located at sign, but this has to be it. I got back to my car and continued to my parents' house. Later that night, I asked my mother if she knew ever about heard of Carnival Burgers. My parents have lived their entire lives in the same town, so if anyone would know, they would. When I asked her, she told me, "Oh yeah, that old burger joint. It was shut down last time ago. They said it was for sanitation reason. It was actually a big deal when we were kids. We all loved going there. Jerry was kind of a McDonald's ripoff, but it was fun. They had this clown that would give us balloons. What's his name?" My father covered. "Jestro, because of that weird voice of his. Some sort of electronic voice box. Though I thought it was kind of creepy. I thought it was funny. I was sad when they had to close down," my mother said. My father continues. "They said that it was for uncleanness, that there were rumors about that they're shut down because of disappearance." He looked over his glasses and spoke in a tone for effect. Oh, these are just stories that the older kids told us to scare us. What stories? I ask. I ask. My father replied, they said a lot of people in the neighborhood are going missing, and the only thing the cops could find is that they comment each one ordered order a delivery from Carnival Burgers the day they disappear. Even weirder, they all ordered the same thing, the special house burger. I did not tell my parents about my experience, and I never eaten fast food since.